Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Learn How To, and what we're going to do today is have a look at drawing a product. So I'm going to choose a mobile phone, could be your iPhone or any mobile phone that you've got handy. So we're going to start by marking out, which I've already done here, basically what we call a crate in isometric. So I've just done that very lightly with my pencil. I am working still on isometric grid paper, but what I've done, I've turned the grid paper over so I can still see the grid slightly through the paper, but just because I'm going to be colour toning or rendering this later on to make it look more realistic, I didn't want too many of the darker printed grid lines on the drawing, so I've flipped it over. Alternatively, in some of my later videos, if you want to get a bit more advanced, I will be showing you how to do it with a drawing board and set square. Again, moving away from using the grid, but basically the same principles. It's just using the set square and drawing board as opposed to having the grid printed underneath. Okay, so what I've done here, I've used my pencil to mark up about approximately 2 triangles high for the height or the thickness of the phone. I'm drawing it as if it's lying flat, and again, I'm not using a scale. I've just proportionally marked out where I think it needs to be. And what I have tried to do as well, I've tried to make sure the triangles that I've used are equally divided by 2, so I can put what we call a centre line through the middle. Now this will become useful when laying and marking out some of the other features on the phone later on, especially where buttons and things lie like that. Okay, so I think I made it 26 going that way, and I'll just count along here. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, it's 14 going in the width direction. Okay, so that's our shape lightly marked out. Keep your pencil lines really light. As we build it up and start to render it, we won't have anything then that we need to rub out. Okay, so we're going to start by putting in a few basic centre lines. So we'll start with the one that runs horizontally across the face and up this edge. So we'll find our halfway point. It should be 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. Just double check. Yeah, that's right. And a very faint there. And again here. And here. So what I'm planning to do later on, obviously I'm going to putting the screen up, well, showing where the screen edge would be, and possibly the clock, which will be on the screen. So I want to make sure that those are balanced in the middle, so I can use that centre line to step out left and right from that. And that's what you should always do when marking anything accurately. Use your centre lines and mark out from the middle. Never just sort of place your pencil and just guess, because you'll probably end up with things being either too close to one side or not in the right position altogether. Okay, so that's that one done, and we're going to now go and have a centre line running down around the edges as well. I'm not going to put one, am I going to put one in the middle? I don't really need one here because I haven't really got anything to space out apart from the screen edge. Okay, let's put one in anyway, even though we've only got that one element to put on. So again, what did I say? 26. It's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It'll be 13. That's there. I should double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Yep, that's perfect. So I'm going to go from here to here. Nice and lightly. Well, you probably won't be able to see that well on the camera, trust me, there is a line there. Okay, so I'm now going to do one that runs all the way around the edge. Reason for that is that there are some buttons on the edge of the iPhone, which we'll need to, the on and off button, which we'll need to put on there, volume up and down. So we just want a line running in the middle there, so when we draw those on, we can get them proportionally correct. And remember, all these lines are what we call construction lines. Some of them won't be needed on the actual drawing afterwards. So that's why we do them very, very lightly. And if you press light enough, you'll probably find that when you render or tone, when you put your colour on, they'll just disappear anyway, and you won't need to do any rubbing out. Okay, so that's our centre lines done. We've got our basic shape. The next stage is to start marking on the shape of the phone. Now, most mobile phones today are pretty rectangular and they're flat, but they do have rounded corners. Okay, so if I look at my mobile phone that I've got here, I can see that the edges are slightly curved. Now, when you're trying to represent this on a isometric grid, you tend to get opposites. And what I mean by that is the density of the curve, or the tightness of the curve, has an opposite. So for example, this corner here and this one over here, the opposite, will tend to be a tight curve, whereas these two will be more of a shallow curve, because it's obviously going same angle but opposite direction. Okay, so it would appear more shallow. So I'm going to put in the tight ones first. So this is freehand. Again, keeping it nice and light. So you can work that in to the best that you can. And then we're going to do the more shallow ones at the back. And here. That's roughly taking 2 triangles. Okay. So where I can see it's sort of touching the straight edge, closest line coming down, I'm now going to just draw those lines in to show me where my curve begins and ends. Just going to do them nice and lightly, because what I want to do next is I need to project that underneath as well. So as well as having a curve on the top surface, you're going to have one on the way where you can see them on these 1, 2, 3 corners. You will need to draw that in as well. Okay, so if you bring all your lines down first, not going to see that back edge, but I will see where this one ends. But you'll also obviously have the new, what we call, edge of the phone on the corner, or the new corner. And this is why we've used a grid. As you can see, all of that now over on this left hand side is redundant and not needed later on, so that will eventually be rubbed out. But where the curve is here, that's where our new corner comes down. So we're going to bring that down like that. And what you've got following off this curve here will also follow at the bottom. So you try and match that to the top one, like so. And that then gives you an accurate copy of what you've got from above. Okay, so if you do the same with this one over here, that one you haven't got to worry about because you can't see anything. This one I'm going to bring down. Oops, so, I've gone under my ruler there. Straight. Do that again. And here's the other side of my ruler. It's a bit flat. Okay, and then again copying that curve here. Okay, you can then just thicken up that a little bit so you can see it. And then we've got the front one to do. turn this around slightly so I can get a better curve. And again, following that to match the one above, like so. So we've now got cuboid shape with rectangular or rounded corners. Okay, so what we can do at this point, a little bit of thickening and thinning, not too much, because I will be using my fine liner later. I'm now going to just strengthen the edges, just a little bit, just so that you can see them at home on the camera. I'm not going to do them too heavy because what I want to do is put some highlight effect on when I thicken thin later on. So they will have definition. And I'll just thicken up. And this one. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so we now want to, I'll just go along this one a bit as well. We now want to start putting some of the surface details. We'll start with the top face of the phone first of all. So most mobile phones, I'll draw it so that if it's the screen that's on, and we can see the black borders around the iPhone. I'm just trying to replicate my iPhone XS here, and I can see around the edge that it's got like a sort of a black border around it, which I want to try and put on there next. So that's fairly simple because it's just a rectangle, and at the top of the phone it's slightly wider. So I'm going to come down 3, I think. And I'm going to come in, it's pretty much border to border. So for the purposes of this exercise, we'll just leave one triangle, I think. In fact, no, I'm going to go half of one, make it more realistic. And then same along here. Just mark that with a point of my pencil. So I've come in half a triangle. So I will be, when I draw the line down here, going off the grid. So I've got to make sure I draw that nice and parallel. This one's okay. I can actually connect these two together as they are. One. And at the bottom, it's not quite as deep, so let's go 2. Again, we'll come in half one. Join those two up, and then put in the verticals, like so. Okay, so starting to take shape, we've got some definition and lines on the top now, so we've got our screen on. Next, we've got the sort of on the screen itself, slide up sort of command, and I'm going to just draw that on. This is where your centre line comes in useful. So that's at the bottom here, because you can use your centre line now. So I'll just come up 1. Again, it's not going to be absolutely perfectly proportional to scale because I'm not measuring it to scale, as long as it roughly looks in the right place. So it's 1, 2, we'll do. Let's just go 2, I think. 2, 1, 2. Okay, so let's put in I'll use the grid line for that. And because it's such a very, very thin line, I'm just going to draw me another line parallel to it, and then following the isometric line on the other way, just put a little curve on that end and a little curve on the other end just to match. Okay, so that's my slide up on my screen. To move my screen over, I'll change it to a different screen. And what we got next, there's nothing else actually on my screen at the minute because I'm on video mode. So what I could do, just to give it some further detail on the top surface, because the thing is with today's mobile phones, you don't tend to get much on there. What you have got at the top though is the microphone and speaker. Oh, your speakers at the bottom edge, so your speakers are going to appear on here. Your microphone and voice recognition is at the top. So again, that's not that wide, and it's roughly in the middle of the black area, but it's higher up near this top edge. So again, we use the center line, and we'll come out just one triangle for that. Join that together. Again, do a parallel underneath. Put a curved ends on, like so. And there is a little bit, you can just see if you look really closely, like a little bit of mesh under there, which we'll have a go at putting on when we do the details, when we render it later. And then I think what we'll do, we'll put the clock on there. So what I'm going to do is just draw some parallel guidelines in order for me to get me numbers off in the right place. And again, remember it's lying flat, so the vertical parts of the numbers are going to go on these 30-degree lines, and any horizontal parts of the numbers that come this way will follow those in line with the parallel lines that I've done. Okay, so what time shall we have? Let's go nice and easy. Let's do a number 1. So I'll come down that one. I'm just going to thicken them up slightly, keep them fairly narrow. Sketch a little tail on the one there. 2, and leave 1 space. So we'll go up, across. Made that a bit wide, I think. Let's take it back. And just double that up. 2 little dots. And we'll just do 12 o'clock, so I'll keep this easy. So 0 on the side of my 0, and then 1 space like these, and then just double the thickness. And do the tops, following the guideline. Bottoms, thickness, top, parallel, and so on. So we've put in there, and you can see the angles, right? So we've got these following the horizontal parallel guidelines, and then any vertical parts of this is following the grid lines that run in that direction. Okay, so then we've got the edges, so running around here. At the bottom, you've got the jack point where you put in the charge lead. So this one will do, I think we'll go 2. I want to go a little bit either side of my centre line. And a little bit above. About 0.5 millimetre. And then again, we want to put 1 triangle wide for either side of the centre line, and then we'll just put some curved ends on, like so. There are some screw holes either side of that. So again, because it's so tiny, if you were doing a bigger circle, what you'd do, you would create a crate. You produce a crate to draw the circle within to help you get a bigger circle, because you can't do or draw a perfect circle or a geometric circle on grid paper. It has to be done within a set of grid lines. So just to show you that, what you would have is your center line. Let's do it this way. And then you could try and sketch it freehand from just having a centre line, but it won't be accurate. So the best thing to do is to sketch it within a crate or a box. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 high. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you put that in as a box, or what we call a crate, that helps you then to sketch other shapes within it. And it's really good if you're freehand sketching in isometric as well. You can build a shape up really quickly by dropping crates off here, there and everywhere. Okay, so if I was going to do a circle in there, remember, same as what I said earlier about the curves, you've got shallow and tight opposite curves. So these two are going to be your tight ones, and these are going to be your shallow ones. So from here, you would sketch the shallow, your opposite shallow over here, and then your tight curve here. And here. Just do that a little bit more bold so you can see it. Okay, and that then gives you a perfect circle in isometric, which is more of a squashed circle. It's more of an ellipse shape. Okay, so where was we going? So for this, because it's so small, we're just going to sketch small elliptical shape on each of those, one triangle outwards. Right, what else have we got on the bottom edge? We have got some speaker holes. So we have 3 on the left and 6 on the right on this one. Again, they're not much bigger than the ones with the screws in. So the only difference is these have got a little lining and the screws, and these are just holes, slightly bigger. So let's do one there, one in the middle of the rectangle, triangle, and one on the next one. Those 3. And I'll do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just made a little bit too far over. Just going to move him back a little bit. Okay, there's our 6 there. Okay, what I'm also going to do as well, because with it being holes as well, they'll be slightly darker on the bottom edge. Realistic definition. Same for our jack. The charge port, you're going to see thicker edge on the bottom than you will on the top. Put that in. That's on the screen, so that won't. Alright, let's go around the side now. So on the side of the phone, we've got some buttons, and if I'm drawing this correctly, just need to have a little look on the other side. So we have on this side a line, and then we have the big 2 lines, and then the big power button on and off, which is about here. And at the bottom, the line, there's also 2 lines, join lines for the casing. So that's in roughly in the right place there, where I did that end of that curve. Again, the beauty of the phone, the elegance of the curves follows through. So the end of that curve is where that line comes down. And then at this end, it's not in line with the screen. Again, it's where the curve ends, which is just slightly lower. Just there. Okay. And then we have the big button, power button. So let's balance that. I think we'll do it there, and then we'll do it 1, 2, 2 that way. And then we have to make sure that it's parallel underneath. And again, it's curved both ends. Right, okay. So that's pretty much the phone drawn. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start to add some colour and enhance this phone, make it really stand out. Okay, so I'm going to be using pencil crayon, a little bit of fine liner as well to define some of the edges. So we're going to start with doing the fine lining first of all. So we're going to pick out these edges. I'll start with the outer edges. And I'm going to do a bit of thickening and thinning on these as well to give it definition. So heavier on the outer edges. And then as I zoom towards the middle, sort of make it fizzle out so it looks like a highlight. Just take care on the curves, you don't want to end up with it bleeding too much. Again, dark to light, same on these edges. Thick to thin so it disappears. Again. Careful. Down this last package. Okay. Inner lines. Let's do the top surface. So thickening up that. Speaker. I'll shut the microphone, sorry. Screen. Now, although it's not with the smart screen, it's totally flat. It's still nice to put a little bit of like definition on by thickening and thinning, because the light will still bounce off the surface of the glass. And you can see by just doing that very subtly, dark to light, you are giving it definition as if it's catching the light in certain places. Okay. Where are we going now? I've done this inner line here. Follow the curve. And the join line. Okay, so just the button. Now these buttons are recessed into a space, so you will get a little bit of thickening on the one edge, slightly underneath, so it looks as if it's sitting into a socket. Okay, just my numbers to go around. And if any of your lines, any pencil lines are not quite in line, you can correct them with your fine line. And just as a point of reference as well for this, always make sure your hands are clean as well, especially when you start to render and put colour on, because sometimes you can smudge, especially with the pencil as well. Always work around the drawing, never work across it while you're trying to colour or draw lines, because you'll end up smudging the pencil across the piece of work. Always a good tip, especially for artists as well. Okay, right then, so you only want to have it done is the leading edge here. Right, now at the moment it's looking a bit like an iPhone 4, which had very square surface edges running around the outside edge. On the 7, 8 and 10 and XS and XR, they are rounded on the edge. Now we have to create that effect using the pencil crayons and using toning effects to achieve that. The screen itself, because it's made of glass, we want that to be reflective, so most of the glass is blue. I'm not going to be putting any design on this, just going to keep it fairly straight and simple. So the first thing we're going to do is on the top surface, like we've done before with our glass effect, is add a couple of highlights, might be 3 because it's quite a big screen, and I'm even going to take them across some of my numbers to show that, you know, this is another piece of material that's over the top of that. I think we'll have another little one down there as well. Okay, and then we're going to render either side of those lines. Dark to light. Don't want too much colour, we don't want to obliterate the whole screen, but just enough to show that this might be a piece of glass. I don't want to go over those numbers too much, but you can bring this right down. Keeping that crayon on its side. Like so. Okay, and already that has instantly come to life. Okay, then we have the black outer don't think I'm going to go jet black. Let's try dark grey. I'm going to see what we've got. It's the closest to black. Cool grey 90%. I think that's pretty much near enough black, but not too intense. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to thicken thin either side of those lines again. To show that the light, perhaps it is hitting that. And the border. And now, even on this corner here where it's curved, because it's rounded, you will get a rounded highlight too. I'll tone that back. Same here. Those crayons. Okay. And similarly at the top. Smooth right. Yeah. Give ourselves a bit of space. Thick and thin down here. Follow that highlight across. And then with the screenage. So again, there might be some reflections, might be a little bit of a highlight. You should really, if it helps. Like so. So it doesn't have to be too intense and completely fill. You want some light bouncing off the surfaces as well. Okay, so same at the bottom. Naturally it will be more shadowed at the bottom. Let's thicken those. Not going to press too heavy here. I want to start adding some colour onto these. Right, now this phone is a gold. So the nearest colour I've got to that, I have got gold, metallic gold. But it's got more of a pinkish tinge to it. Let's see what we've got. Yeah. Let's try the gold to start with, and then we'll soften it. So what we want to do, we are going to highlight by going over and thickening and thinning, but what I need to do, because there's a curve, it's going to appear dark on the top edges and lighter in the middle section. Blending that out to nothing. So what it does, it then creates the effect that it's curved because the light's hitting it in the middle. Okay, like so. And then coming around from this back corner, it's also gold. Top edge you don't see it because the black screen does curl over the edge slightly. So I might define that a bit more in a minute. And then try and bring the curve around with it like so. And then that highlight there will disappear into that curve, leaving a little white area. But remembering these top and bottom edges, dark to light, to continue that. Okay, and the same here. It's going to be heavy to light, heavy to light. Follow that curve around, and both sides of this one. Like so. Get in there slowly, and I think I'm just going to soften that with a little bit of burnt ochre, which is more of a pinky brown colour. So I didn't want it to be sort of bright gold. And sometimes it's nice to blend two colours together, you get a better effect. Again, just softening those. Okay, button's the same. I have to press quite heavy on the bottom edge of our button. Not too hard on the top, but we need a highlight there. Just on that top edge. Just so that you can see that there's a little bit of light catching that top edge of the curve to give the effect there that it's like a rounded surface. Okay, then we said in the speaker, I'm just going to use my pencil for this. Sort of a mesh inside there, but it's so thin. Just going to do a series of lines that way. Just to give that a bit of an effect. There we go. And what else have we got? We've got the port down the bottom here. This is pretty much shadowed. I'm just going to dark to light that with silver. Get back over that. holes. And that's pretty much it. We just said we're going to define the top edge. Take our black, thick and thin that. Just make sure our curves and edges are all nice and soft. And then I always think that it's nice to, because at the minute it looks as if it's floating up in the air, just to add a simple, what I call a drop shadow coming off that. And we can follow the profile of the shape if we want it. Just bring it down from the corner slightly. Follow our curve. We've already got what I've drawn in. Coming a little away from this corner too. And then tone. It's about right. See that little bit there. And then tone your shadow back. And you can either do it all uniform, same shade or tone, or if you want to, as you come this way, sort of fade that lighter. As it moves away from the surface, the shadow would appear to become paler. And over this side. And that, I think for now, will do for today. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. It's time for you to now to go away and practice these skills. So just a quick recap. Remember, mark out really lightly in pencil. Start with your crate and then centre lines. And then just mark out accurately in proportion to that, whatever it is you're trying to copy or replicate. Put on your surface details. And then begin to thicken thin and add your colour toning over the top, paying special attention to where highlights are and, you know, the curves and the shapes of the objects in what you're trying to recreate. If there are any stray lines around the drawing afterwards, such as the crate that was left over, these can be then rubbed off with a rubber, like so. Okay. And there we have it. If I just hold that, close to the camera, so you can see the effect. Okay. And that's it for today. Okay, thanks very much. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're really enjoying what we're doing here. Loads more stuff to come. Going to be moving on to use of isometric without a grid paper, using the set square and the drawing board, and then following on from that we're going to be starting to look at perspective drawing as another drawing technique to produce 3D views. Okay, thanks for now. See you soon. Bye.